Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Clearly Focused. I am Kaylee. I am your host. It has been a whirlwind of a month of a week. I just got back. It's the beginning of June. As you guys know, I batch record my episodes, or maybe you don't know, but I just got back from Las Vegas, which is a vacation that we took, my husband and I took together. We bowled in nationals, the USBC National Open Championship. It was my second year bowling, but it's Bryant's seventh year bowling. So every year it happens around Memorial Day week. We go on a trip. It's been hosted in Reno. It's been hosted in Syracuse. We've been to Vegas multiple times. We usually try to take a little extra trip at the end, like go to one year we went to Salt Lake City. One year we went to just like see the Grand Canyon, and we just try to make it a good trip. But this was only my second year bowling. I got roped into it. I got strong armed into bowling with them. But if you didn't know, my husband and I met on the bowling team in high school. We are nerds, and it's okay. You can laugh at us. We love it. But we do still love bowling together. So it was just a fun trip. But Las Vegas is exhausting. And I feel like it's one of those trips that you come back from and you're like, I need a vacation from my vacation because I'm so tired. It's like I should have just planned like 4 days in Vegas and then like 4 days off at home to recover. But here we are. I am super excited for today's episode. I feel like I say that every week, but this one actually is going to be an amazing one for you guys to listen to because it's just refreshing. I have a guest on the show. Her name is Shannon McKinstrie, and I love following her. I love watching her stuff. I go to her page all the time for like inspiration and just like if I need to feel validated for what I do on Instagram, like she's my go-to girl. She's very funny. I love hanging out with her over on the gram, and that's where you guys should follow her as well and just kind of get a peek into what she likes to post, like content that she likes to post. It just sparks a lot of ideas for me to make reels, or what kinds of captions I should be making, what kinds of songs I should be using in my reels, what I should be doing on TikTok, just all kinds of stuff. And it sparks some creativity in my brain a little bit when I go to her page. So that's very fun. You should go follow her. She is just a really awesome girl, lovely lady to talk to. And I can't wait for you guys to listen to the episode. But before we get into it, we are going to take our 30 seconds of silence. Today's topic is social media. We talk a lot about like going viral and just like the rules that Instagram and social media in general really puts on us, or that we feel they put on us. So I just want you to take 30 seconds and take a couple breaths and get out of that mindset of being like Instagram is hard, or like there are certain things I just don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, you're putting all these limitations on yourself. And that's kind of a lot of times what I've seen stops people from posting is just like not knowing the right rules. Like they want a textbook, they want something to follow, like a recipe. So I want you to take these 30 seconds, just take a couple breaths and throw those out the window. We're not gonna listen to those anymore. This is what we are coming into a new era where we just do whatever the heck we want to do on social media. And I want you to feel encouraged and excited and inspired by that rather than scared or stressed. Okay. So just take a few seconds to do that, and then we will get into the conversation. I can't wait. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Clearly Focused. I have a great guest on the show today. Her name is Shannon McKinstrie, and I love binging her content. And even just your stories are very entertaining. What I love about which we can totally get into this later, but I love being able to connect with you, not just as like a social media marketer, manager, but also just like you as a person. Like I get to see you in your life and the kinds of things that you enjoy, and you do a really good job of that. So I'm very excited to have you on the show. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, if you want to say like where you're located or how you got started and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, first, I appreciate that so much. Like, I just love, yeah, I think, again, using Instagram the way people want it, to get to know each other and things like that. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, I am in Cary, North Carolina. I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, but we moved here actually during the pandemic. So this is now home and we love it. But yeah, I started my business in, let's see, 2014 as a hobby, right? Because social
Yeah.
media management was like a joke. Some people still think it
Right.
is,
People are
but
like,
that's
social
for
media,
another.
that's going to die in like a week.
Literally, they're like, "Oh, this is a fad. Here, sure, do my Facebook for $50." And I was like, "Okay." And yeah, I started my business because I've my background's in marketing and communications. Like all through high school, I was like the nerd that stayed in the edit bay back when VHS tapes were it, and
Oh my gosh,
I
cool.
would edit all our home videos, like sleepovers with my friends, like family trips. I just loved editing and documenting. So that's always been like kind of, and my dad used to joke like, okay, comm major, like, okay, what's that going to do? And back then it was
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah, that was the easy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The joke, it's just funny. Look back and like everything was kind of a joke. So I'm like, I'm glad I was born when I was, because now I'm like, no, it's not a
Yeah.
joke anymore.
What happened?
Look, dad. So yeah, I went on to study that in college, and then I went to CNN, which I thought was like all I wanted to do was edit and produce and direct. I want to sit in the director's chair, behind the scenes. Like that was my dream. And I got to sit in the control room for a while. And then I was there during Katrina and the tsunami and all these horrific
Oh
events.
my
And I
gosh.
was like, I can't do this anymore. My mental health was like trash. That was in Atlanta. And then I moved back to DC in 2008. And I was just like, what am I going to do in my life? Like I thought that's what I wanted to do. And so I really struggled with my identity, is like, what am I gonna do? I was like, I guess I'll just work in a
Mm.
cubicle the rest of my life and hate everything. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's like
That's
a lot of
fine.
people out there. I'm like, that's,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what we do.
true.
That's what it is. And that's the
Yeah.
cards. So
Yeah.
I just hopped around marketing and sales jobs for years. And then in 2013, the company I was at was like, does someone want to manage our Facebook page? And I was like, me, me, me,
Me,
me,
me,
me, me.
me.
So, and they're like, sure, Shannon, whatever. And I was like, yay, I just thought it was the coolest thing. So I had so much fun managing it. And I was like, this really brings my love of editing, photos, caption. Like I love writing captions. It's like one of my favorite
Your
things.
captions are so good.
Oh,
Like
thanks.
I
Oh,
love I always know that your caption's going to be like
oh,
perfect.
I love that. Well, no, it's, and everyone argues now, are long captions or short captions. I'm like, just if
Whatever you want.
whatever you want, people will read it or
Yeah.
they won't. It's all good. But I was the friend that like we'd be out and they'd be like, what should my caption be? Like that was always right. My role as the friend. I was the one
Mhm.
capturing and helping with the
Mhm.
captions. So my friends would joke. They're like, Shannon, you should honestly start your own social media, whatever business management. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, right. Like who's going to take me seriously? And no one did, but it didn't stop me, luckily. So once I had my daughter, it was a really bad birth. And long story short,
Mm.
I was just like, I cannot go back to work. So I left the business I was at and I was like, well, now that I've actually been managing a Facebook page, I know what to do. And so I, reached out to local businesses and literally put flyers on the local pizza shop and coffee shops and was just like, someone hire me. Got some realtors to hire me because I have family in real estate. And then that was it. Like I started showing up to brokerages in the DC area and just hosting free little 30-minute, hey, here's what your bio needs to say, here's what content to do. And I would leave with like 3 clients and I was like, at that point I was like making like
Ooh.
600 a month and I was like, "Oh my gosh, honey, I can like help pay groceries." But we struggled. It was a struggle. And then eventually my
Yeah.
husband was like, "Girl, if you don't start making some serious money, like you got to go work at
This ain't gonna
Chick-fil-A or
work.
Starbucks." Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
somewhere because this is not working. Because I was like, I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. So long story short,
Yeah.
eventually I got the confidence to be like, no, let me up my prices. Let me take this seriously. This isn't a hobby. I want to do this. And here we are. So it's been a 10-year journey. And I think people
It's
don't realize
amazing.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but thinking about like where you started and like how
Yeah.
you started, obviously just from going from being interested in it at high school and stuff, but
Yeah.
then seeing how that love has like grown and changed, like not just with like your experience, but also just with trends and like
Yep.
the technology and the fact that social media has become a bigger thing than it was. It's very cool to see. And you worked your freaking butt off. Like
Yeah.
when you were talking about how you walked around and was like, putting flyers on pizza shops and like local businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
That's I mean, you hit the ground running. Like
It's
that's what you got to
humbling.
do if you
Yeah.
want to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
thing. I
very
was like,
impressive.
it's like, it's desperation at some point. It's
Mhm.
like, but I love what I do so much that I would have done it for free. So,
Yeah.
but then my husband was like, no, but you can't do it for
But you
free.
can. But like you can. Yeah. I know. And that's like honestly one of the biggest pieces of advice that you could probably share with anyone is like if you want it to work, like you have to work at it. You can't just
Yeah.
like expect it to happen to you. Like you have to
No.
make it make it happen for you and
Yep.
get up and every day either get up early or stay up late or however you need to make it work to
Yep.
happen. Like I worked 4 jobs before I could like finally quit and be a full-time photographer. And it's
Yep.
exhausting, but at the end of the day, once you get where you want to go, you're like, okay, that was worth it. Like you said, I do it all
Totally.
over again. I do it for free. Like I love what I do and I'm glad I got here. So
Oh, I love
I love
that.
that you can feel your passion through just the way that you're talking about it, but especially through all the content that you put out. I'm just like, she's not burnt out. Like, how does this happen?
Well, no, people are always like, how do you do it all? I'm like, I don't. Like, you should see my laundry room. Like, it's like, I don't. But, I
You're like,
love
my
it so much.
social media looks good, but like,
Yes.
ignore my house.
Like, don't look around. No, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and luckily, in the past couple of years, my business has done really well. So, like, I'm able to get like someone to help me clean and organize my house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But like for
Mm-hmm.
years, like you said, it was hot mess, debt, just like
Yep.
living on a prayer. And now we get to
Working
enjoy
40,000 hours a week.
literally. And like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I remember I would do this for free for my clients because they were local realtors. I would like put my toddler in the car. It was when Cam was like 2, drive into DC. And while she would be napping, I'd hop out the car and take pictures of stuff for their Instagrams. Like, because I
Nice.
was like, if my name is
I
going to be on
need
your social
content.
media, it needs to be good because no one
Yeah.
sends you content. Like being a social media
No.
manager is not as fun as people, not that it's fun, but like people don't send you the content, which is why I now do it a different way. Cause I'm like, let me help you. Give me your phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I think of those days, like that was so funny, but I loved it. So
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah. Well, and that's good. I mean, like we were just saying, like if you don't love it, it makes life miserable. So
Good luck.
you
Yeah.
gotta keep that passion for
Yeah.
it and keep that drive. One of the things that I keep coming back to your page for all the time is honestly just inspiration because one of the things that you share, or most of the things you share are just like tips and tricks. And like,
Right.
to me, the biggest takeaway that I get from your page is everyone is asking all the questions like, long or short captions,
Mhm.
hashtags in the comments or the caption. Do I do trending reels or do I do reels that are like more geared towards like my audience or whatever? Like, there's so many questions that revolve around social media and like just how. But you number one, you answer a lot of those. But I think what I feel is refreshing is that most of the time your answer is just like, do whatever you want. Like
Do
just
you?
yeah, like
Well, because
do
they want,
what you can do.
yes.
Like, if it's like just because let's just say that like 10-minute reels are not, they're not really, but
Right.
10-minute reels are the trend right now. It's like I don't have time to make a 10-minute reel. So okay, then don't. Just
Then
do what you
don't.
can. Like do what you want. Do what
I get
works for
so many,
you.
they're like, that doesn't work for me. I'm like, then don't do it. Like, I don't know what, I don't know what y'all want. Like, I don't, there's no
Yeah.
magic pill. And if there was,
No.
that would be awesome, but there isn't. Actually, no,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be awesome. Like,
Yeah,
I
because
don't
then it'd
know.
be boring, and you couldn't
Yeah.
like. It's kind of like a challenge. Like you're like, I have to figure this out. Like, what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. Like
And then
it's
everyone
kind of
would
like a
make the
game.
same content. And
Yeah,
how
it would be
boring
so
would that
boring.
be? Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be like cookie cutter.
Yes.
And one of the beautiful things about social media is being able to go to people's pages and see their personality, their
Yes.
interests, their likes, like
Yep.
their dislikes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah. I social media. Do you think that it's changed? Like, do you think there used to be a little bit more predictable? Like, I could kind of figure this out, and now it's just kind of like balls to the wall, like whatever.
No, oh my gosh, I love this question. So it's kind of weird. I actually think social media is more predictable than ever. But
Really?
I hate saying that because people are going to be like, whatever, Shannon. But like when I see a reel that's going viral, I can tell you exactly why. But
Mm.
like before I put something up, I know if it's going to go. And most of the content I do does not go viral, but that's because I know what to do to go viral. But that's not how I roll. I
Yeah,
don't. There's no gimmicks.
virality, is that the word?
Yeah.
Virality or whatever
Mhm.
is like not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's honestly the haters come out. I can't handle it, and I have a few that have gone bananas, and then I end up
Mhm.
having to like turn the comments off because I'm like anxious about it. I'm like, I don't want. So I've had a few on TikTok go viral, and people are just crazy over there. But
Yeah.
again, there's so many nuances that when something goes viral, it's like, no, what I'm saying, no one is listening. So my stuff,
Yeah.
you got to be really careful because I could say something. Like I literally yesterday did a reel about saying how, busting some myth, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's true. I'm like, no, I literally just said it's not true, that is not true. So for me, it's really scary when something goes viral because I'm like, are they
Mhm.
understanding what I'm saying? But if I want to go viral, I know exactly what I would do, but it
How
would
to do
feel
it.
clickbaity. It wouldn't feel me. And
Mhm.
I've had a couple that
Mhm.
I've tested that go bananas, and I'm like, ugh, that just felt,
Ah.
yeah. And hacks, people love hacks. So if I shared
Yeah.
story hacks all day about here's how to change this back, that doesn't excite me. I literally
Yeah.
don't care about
Yeah.
what your story looks like. It's the
Yeah.
content behind it. So for me, a
Yeah.
lot of the hacks, again, they want the magic pill. They're like, what color should I use? What, like, if I said your caption needs to be this many characters to go viral, that would go viral, but that's not
Yeah.
true. So I'm not going to
Right.
share that. Now,
Yeah.
photographers, I've helped photographers go viral. I've helped realtors go viral. I've helped sewing. I don't even know what to call them.
What?
Makers go
Yeah. Right.
viral. Like one of my students in the reels, she is a maker and she goes viral. She just had another 1 million view reel yesterday. And I'm like, this is
Oh my
bananas.
gosh.
But
That's
it's
so
because we
cool.
keep it so simple. Now I always joke. I'm like, I wish my account wasn't about social media. I would go nuts with any other industry.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
Oh
would have
yeah.
so much fun. But what I have to showcase is what's in my brain. And that's a little harder. Like if I was
Mm-hmm.
doing makeup or this, I'm like, oh man,
Right.
we'd have some fun.
Y-
But yeah, I don't, it's my B-roll is my face. I'm like, it's kind of boring.
Mhm.
But I'm like, for you guys, there's so much else you guys can play
It's like
with. And
us shooting or like
right.
us adjusting our
I'm like me and
client's
my elements,
hair
like
or like the location we're at or yeah.
and the insane venues and the tablescapes. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that stuff is
Mm-hmm.
so fun and so shareable and savable. And oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me to be an ethical business owner, like I just don't go as viral as my students do. But
Yeah.
if I can help them do it again in an ethical way. But what my people want to hear is what I won't share. Like I won't say that, if that makes sense. But I've
Yeah.
still had some go
Yeah.
viral that are good and honest. And then the trolls come through. It's just don't wish for
Those trolls,
virality.
man.
Don't wish for
Yeah.
virality. It's not, it's overrated. It's fun. But I like a viral reel. It's like maybe 200,000, 500,000 views. Once it gets over a
Yeah.
million, I'm like,
Oh,
oh God,
yeah.
scary.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, we don't know what's happening. Hold on to your horses
No.
because yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true. I mean, there's been a few reels that I've had that like I'll literally be talking about like part of my something that my camera does that's really cool.
Right.
And people are like, cameras are doing that, have been doing that since they were invented. And I'm like, no, this is like a specific thing for a mirrorless camera that is a new technology. Like, are you not watching the video? You're just
No, they're
like you're
not.
just hating on the yeah.
No, they're literally not. They're
Yeah.
literally not. And I can't take it. And one of my girls went so viral that like, yeah, same thing. All the people just start, and I was like, just literally block every single one. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna ask
not,
how you address the
I
trolls.
just
Do you
block.
respond to them? Do you block them? Like
Sometimes I'll respond. I'm like, why did I even go there? And I'm like, block. I just block. I go on a blocking
yeah.
spree. And the TikTok I shared the other day, which was literally about paying social media managers fairly. Everyone's like, social media management's a joke. And I'm like, I don't even want other social media managers to see this because I don't manage anymore. I manage like one OG client still.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't advertise. So, and someone's like, oh, you're just trying to justify your prices. I'm like, actually, I'm not a social media manager. And I was like, why
Right.
am I responding to this? Like,
Yeah.
delete.
Yeah. I feel like you have to be, like you said earlier, you have to be really careful with what you say because then people are just going to latch onto that.
And then they just keep
the
going.
message is missed.
It's missed. And
Yeah.
and it's sad. And I'm like, well, sorry you missed that. But I saw this hilarious TikTok and I like sent it to everyone I know because it just made me laugh. And it's just like, it said something like, imagine leaving a comment and I just immediately block you because what? And he's like, what? It's my page and I do what I want over here. And I was like, yeah, I think blocking got such a bad thing. They were like, oh, you're silencing them. I'm like, no, if you're literally talking trash and being rude,
Mm-hmm.
I don't do negativity on my page. If you have an honest question, I will answer it. But yeah, I just don't do, it just feels like bullying and it's my page. So I'm going to block you.
Yeah.
But
right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
you
I
can do
do.
what you want. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I know.
You can do whatever you want. My block list
Isn't that like refreshing? There's no like right or wrong way to do it. You just do what you want to do.
Yep. And even if someone's tone is off, I'm like, delete, block. I just,
yeah.
You don't get to be a part of this community because that's not how we do things here. And I get a lot of people that are like, Shannon, this
positive vibes only.
Only. And again, people know, like, I will, if you're like, Shannon, that made no sense, like, tell me and I will clear it up. Like, there's no reason to be rude.
Yeah. Honestly, the amount of energy that it takes, I feel like, for them to come out and comment and the negative stuff, I'm just like, I wish I had the time that you had. Like, honestly, like you need to find a hobby.
I can think of other things you can do right now. Like,
yeah,
it's not that.
I know, man.
One time I actually
hate no matter what you do.
I was said like one time when I did go back and I was like, never again. I was like, I'm so sorry this triggered you. And they're like, oh yeah. Okay. And I was like, that didn't work either. Cause that was passive aggressive on my part. And I was like, just don't even go there. I was in a mood. I was like,
but sometimes it's fun. Like I resist the urge. I don't respond to my haters.
Yeah.
I like most of the time I either just leave it or my like other followers or
I was gonna
viewers will
say,
comment back and they go
yep,
after that person for
yep.
me and I'm like this is entertaining and then I just watch them bicker in the comments. It's
I
great.
love it. I love when the community goes in. I'm like, yeah, I've had
Yeah.
that a few times too. Like I won't see it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like go get
Yeah.
him. The one time
Go
one girl
get
was like,
him.
this is irrelevant to my business. And I was like, okay. And I was like,
Okay.
what?
Why did you need to comment that? Like
I
why?
don't,
Could you not just move on with your life?
it's like me seeing a recipe that I would never eat and saying this is irrelevant to my diet. Like, girl,
Yeah.
what? Like, it's just,
I don't like this.
if
Like
my
why
tip
would
is
I?
not for you, then keep it moving.
Just keep
But thanks for the
scrolling.
engagement.
Yeah, that's the point is like you guys realize that you commenting hate comments on our stuff is just still boosting the engagement.
And you're just going to keep
So,
seeing me.
yeah, it's just going to keep popping up on your feed and it's going to be like you just can't get rid of me.
No. Yeah, there was some girl, I actually sent a screenshot to my business partner and it was like, again, a fitness, like nutrition. I mean, they get poor things. They get
Oh,
people
I'm
just,
sure.
it's ridiculous. And
I bet.
yeah, and someone was like, oh, like, I don't know, trashing whatever she was eating. I don't know what it was. And she was like, but her comeback was so good. But then she was like, and now you're just gonna see me all the time. So I hope you don't actually hate me because because of this comment you'll keep seeing all my
Yeah.
reels. And I was like, oh, I don't understand why people don't get that. Like
Yeah.
if you comment on my stuff, you're gonna see me again. So thank you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's
it's
just
really weird.
and like you're gonna see more of my content, like not just on this one reel that's gonna keep coming
Right.
up because like it's gonna basically say, "Oh, you were interested in this because you were engaging on it, so here's more
Right.
stuff.
Or
Here's
it's
more of her
almost
stuff."
like if you think about it, it's almost like walking by a store. Okay. Like you're like in the mall and maybe it's like a cigar store and you don't smoke cigars and you're like, "Ugh," like n-
Yeah,
you're just walking by.
like
You're
opening
just
the door
walking
to the
by
restaurant or whatever
to
and being
yell at
like,
them.
"Yeah,
Like, I can't believe you serve blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's exactly how Instagram is. As you're scrolling, you're just walking through a mall. You don't have to go
yep,
into the store. You can keep
yeah."
going if it's not your thing.
It's like window shopping. You're like, "Oh, not
Yes.
interested. Keep going."
It's
Yeah,
totally window shopping. I
that's
love
such
that.
a good analogy.
Yay. I know. I was like, maybe I'll talk about that soon. That's fun.
Yeah, you should make a TikTok about
I
it.
tell people all the time, like, think of Instagram as if it's real life. Like, it
Yep.
changes everything in your mind. Like, again, would you walk into a party and start yelling about how great your services are? No. Like,
Yeah,
so
you're just like you're gonna kind of ease into that conversation
yes,
a
your
little bit.
content needs to prove yourself before you start being like, I'm the best at what I do. Like, let the content speak for you.
Yeah. Which is one of the things that like you encourage across your page a lot is just like doing stuff that feels like you and letting your
Yeah.
content be good. Just good, which you have a podcast now. It's called Good Content. And I'm like, that is so fitting because you encourage people just to make good content. You're like, stop worrying
Mhm.
about going viral. Don't worry about what song to use. I mean, like
Mhm.
there's trending ones that are easy to find, but in the end, if it doesn't fit you, then just use a different song.
Yep.
Like just make good content that your audience is going to resonate with, that people are going to want to comment on or share or
Right.
whatever, and not worrying, not letting, how can I phrase this, like making the making good content be the goal and not making like not letting what people are going to do with it be the goal, if that makes
Ooh, I
sense.
love that. Yes. Well, that's why I said social media is more predictable now because like and I talk about this a lot in in the podcast, but specificity is literally everything. Like if someone goes, I'm going to post this, I'm like, it's too vague. I
Mm-hmm.
anything super specific is going to go bananas because it
Yeah.
has to resonate. So as we're window shopping and scrolling, when something pops up, if I'm like that, they're talking to me, dunzo. It's going to go
Yeah.
bananas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and again with like photographers, I'm always like, instead of saying brides, be like 2025 brides.
Right.
Be
Like
direct.
who specifically are you talking to?
Exactly. So, or POV, you want your wedding to feel like or you want your photo. I saw one that was genius from a photographer and it was like, POV, you want wedding photos that look like cinema. I'm like,
Oh,
that's it.
yeah.
Not just like you
Done.
want photos you'll cherish forever. Like that's so
Yeah.
boring,
That's
right?
so
Because
vague. Yeah.
that's
That's
so big. I mean,
everyone says that.
that worked in 2019. So I'm not
Right.
trashing people. If y'all go
Right.
back to my stuff, vague. It was very 3 ways to optimize your bio. Like now people will be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I am bored. I don't want to optimize my bio. Why do they want to
Yeah.
optimize the bio? You got to think
Yeah.
about that stuff. So if your photography looks cinematic, say that. If you're right, you really got to know your and that's what
Yeah.
I love that photographers, all sorts of different industries, bakers, whatever it is that is your style can be your style. Like you can say,
Yep.
no, I'm not going to give you I'm not only going to shoot in color. I want to, right? Like
Yeah.
you're able
Right.
to
I'm
do
not going to
things
be
on
the
your own
light and
terms.
airy photographer. I'm going to be more
Yes.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Like if they don't like, oh, your editing's too soft. Sorry, I'm moody. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when I found a
That's your
photographer who
vibe.
was taking, yes, our family photos in August, I literally was looking for that moody vibe. And
Yeah.
I found her on Instagram because I looked at Instagram and
Perfect.
all the other ones were too, I mean, we're going to the beach, which I know is
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
but
And
beach photographers tend up to be light and airy so much they wash out the sky. It's just like, yeah, yeah,
yep. And that's what I didn't want to spend $1,000 on. I was like, I
yeah.
want moody, like, and I
Mm-hmm.
found her and I was like, done. So again, like reels that are like POV, you live in blank and are looking for a,
Blank. Yeah,
photographer
something
who, yeah,
specific.
exactly
Yeah,
specific
yeah.
and your
That's
location,
so
like,
true.
you know,
Yeah, and I think it helps because, like you said, um, you're not only giving your audience or like your potential clients, better content or something to actually engage with, but I think you're also making it more clear to yourself too what
yes,
you actually shoot, because it's like it's important for you to know what kind of photographer you are, like obviously beyond just editing style, because there's so much more to it. It's about like how they pose people and how they interact with people
yes.
and blah blah blah. But like
I
but being able to know what you offer and talking about it, like if you are like, I don't know what to make a reel about, then it's like talk about something that you do, like, and you know what you do because you do it every day, so
every
you
day.
should have some, at least 5 things right off the bat that you could just
Yep.
be like, oh well, I can talk about how I prep my clients for a session. I'm gonna send you an email, I'm gonna give you a guide, I have a blog post for you. Like that's like multiple things you could already make if you wanted to break it
Yes.
into smaller chunks. Like just talk
Yep.
about what you do.
Well, I love that. And you nailed it. And that's so good in marketing too, is self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
don't know who you are as a business owner, right? And another thing with like family photographers, we all know, okay, again, think about the mood your people are in when they're getting their family photos. They're probably stressed out. They've cussed everyone
Yep.
out in the car. The husband doesn't even want to be there. Like my husband is like, I hate photos.
Hate photos.
So our old photographer, who unfortunately, obviously we live in North Carolina now, he
Yeah.
loved, it was the only photographer I could be like, we're getting family photos. And he'd be like, word. Cause she didn't make it feel like a photo shoot.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Like
awesome.
Ryan's like,
Yeah.
I don't even know she's there. It doesn't feel cheesy. It's not, and
Yeah,
that's
it
all
feels more
he,
natural
so
and yeah.
natural. Like she'd like, we'd go to like an ice cream shop and she'd like to, right. Like it
Aw.
was like our life. So now that I know that, I'm like, let me make sure I don't find a posy type, which that's
Mhm.
fine. Some people want that, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like be the
You
photographer
know what you
who,
want.
yes. And if you
Yeah.
know, and that's what I mean by, again, predictability. I know if a photographer did a reel joking about how, telling wives telling their husbands they booked a photo shoot and the husband's like, ugh. It's like
Yeah.
getting your kids ready. Or again, like I love when photographers show, actually, this is a genius reel. You may have even seen
Ooh,
it. It
let's
went
hear it.
completely viral, but it was a wedding photographer and she had a unicorn head on, like a headband with a unicorn.
Oh my gosh.
Did you
Yeah.
see it? And she goes, it's like it was either posed as a question of saying, how do the bride and groom know when to dip? Or it was a POV. POV, your wedding photographer wears a thing on her head so that when you're dancing, you know exactly where she is when you need to
Where
dip.
she is. Oh, I did see that one. Yep. I think it was that
Genius.
one, the POV.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was freaking genius. And I was like, that right there just showed what length that
We'll
photographer
go
will
to.
go. And again, to not ruin the moment. It speaks louder than that. It's like not only the
Yeah.
photo is going to be good, but she doesn't want you guys to be only thinking about that. Like, oh, there's the unicorn. Let's just
Yeah.
dip real quick for a picture. So
Yeah.
you guys can get
Yeah.
back to your moment as husband and wife. Like,
Yeah.
or there's another photographer who said, the hack of like bring marshmallows, because if the marshmallows are in the kid's teeth,
Yeah. It's
it's
white
white.
and
I'm like,
it's not like candy where
right.
their tongue is
And
stained
it's
red
right. And they
now.
got cat and candy, ice cream all over their clothes. I'm like,
Yeah.
freaking genius. Like you guys have so many
Yeah.
little things in your back pocket that you do that will make someone go, oh my gosh, she thinks to bring marshmallows so that I can just get my kids dressed in there. I mean, I'm always the mom that looks like crap in the family photo because I'm the
Oh,
one
yeah.
getting
You're
them
like
dressed.
hustling and
I'm
trying to get everybody
sweating.
else ready.
Yes. Literally one of our family photos, I was like, never, no, it's not going anywhere. I was just like, you could tell I hated my hair, hated my makeup. Ryan
Oh,
was working. So I was getting, but again, things that you can teach your people. The best time to book a shoot. Think about when's your
yeah.
spouse off work, when you have another hand, what, right? Like
Yeah.
things that like
Yeah.
I didn't think about. So
Yeah.
there's so much
Just
y'all can
like
share.
there's so many things that we can share. And I think
Yeah.
that's what is so like hard for people to understand. I don't know if it's maybe they
think it's
don't
bacon.
realize,
They
like
think they
break
think
it
it's basic.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's also like, I can't tell you how many times I've told people some like kind of like little trick or whatever. And they're like, I never thought about that. And like, I'm just like, see that's like a 2-second little reel
Yeah.
that you could make. And it's something that you think is obvious, but not
It's
everybody
not.
else knows at all.
And
Yeah.
every single person I've ever worked with, and the retreat I had a few weeks ago, everyone was like, everyone's reels that did well. They're all like, I thought everyone knew that. And what's funny is a baker in who I'm also a student of mine. She had a reel go completely bananas, and it was something about like if you're gonna bake with fruit, roll them in flour first. And I've talked about
Okay.
it on the podcast. It went bananas, and she was like, Shannon. The funny thing was, she's like, one, I know any baker, anyone that's baked stuff.
Any
She's like, they
baker's going
know
to know
that,
that.
but other
Yeah.
people didn't know it. And she goes, but it was an ego boost. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's really funny. Cause she was
Yeah.
like, all these other people are like, oh, I already knew that, but let me tag my friend who needs to know it too. Like, she was like, it
Yeah.
gave people a reason to feel like it was a flex. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
actually really genius.
That's so true. Yeah, because then other photographers could be sharing it, whether it's with other photographers or clients or something like
Yep.
that. And like, oh, this is a good tip. I thought I'd share your way. It's like, because I already knew
Cause
this.
I already knew this, but maybe you don't. It's so
Just wanted to
funny.
share with you.
I mean, we
Yeah.
love to be the first to chime in and tell people things we
Yeah.
know to help, right? Like it's just,
Hmm.
so I was like, that's a really funny. I was like, that could be a funny content pillar to work in, like ego boost for
Yeah.
other photographers. But it's a tip for the normal people who don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. And it just honestly, if you think about if you break your life down or your
Yeah.
job or whatever into different categories, and then you can break it into even smaller chunks than that, it's like, obviously you have to know who your target audience is. Am I appealing to other photographers here, or am I appealing to my clients? Okay, well, what kinds
Yes.
of things do I share with my clients that I can make a reel about? And there, I'm sure just from that you can make 50 different reels, and then you can just keep
Totally.
making the same reel, like the same reel about like I what I tell my families is pick one person's outfit. Doesn't matter who, just pick one person's outfit
And base the
first
rest.
and then plan everybody else's around
Mhm.
that. I could make so many different reels about that over the
Yep.
next year. Like I could talk about it. I could just do
Yep.
like text over it. I could film behind the scenes with it.
Yep.
Like that's already 3 different types of reels that I'm making, and it's literally sharing the same information.
The
So
same in different ways.
yeah. And it's going to reach the people who like the talking reels versus the people
Yes.
who like the behind the scenes reels versus the people who like the reading the text over the screen.
Mhm.
Like you're going to be able to reach all kinds of different people that way instead of, and you're not making your job any harder because it's just the same
No.
information regurgitated in a different format.
Absolutely. And I also tell everyone, like, what is your shtick? Like, what's the one thing your people will
Yeah.
always find funny? And every time
Yeah.
there's a funny lip syncing reel,
That's true.
just do the same shtick every time. Like
Yeah.
I do the
Yep.
same shtick, and every time it lands because I already know it's going to land. And it's funny you said that though, because there's a TikTok creator, and I noticed she did this, and I was like, "You're so smart." Because I just chopped my hair off, and I found her, and she's like, she does nothing but hairstyles for short hair. She has like a
Oh,
million followers.
fun.
I'm like, this
Oh my
is
gosh.
like, I'm like, I really need a niche down, but I just love to help everybody. But whatever.
Yeah. We love
Um,
that though.
yeah, someone's like, you need to just be reels. I'm like, no, I don't want to just coach reels. Like
Yeah.
I do more. So she, every time she does a reel, one is just the tutorial of her doing it for like 10 seconds. And then the text,
Hmm.
POV, find a hairstyle that
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. That's it.
Yeah.
The next one is the next one is a talking it out tutorial. That's like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Like word for word. Oh my
It's
gosh.
amazing. And it's like an
And she
A/B
probably
test.
filmed them at the same time.
Same time. She took
Yeah.
the longer version and shortened it, probably an InShot, threw it up there. And it's so funny. And what's funny is she always gets more views on the shorter one. So her audience is definitely more, wants the shorter, but the other ones still do really well and probably bring in new followers. So
Yeah.
I was like, I should just start doing that. Like every time I do a talking,
Yeah.
just do a short version and just throw them both up, even at the same time.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what time? I'm like, whenever you want. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I
Whenever you
posted a
want.
reel last night because I was just wanting to get it off my chest at 10 o'clock at night. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just post
Yeah.
it because I'm too excited to
Yeah.
wait. So I just post it.
I feel like I'm that way on TikTok, but on
Yeah.
Instagram, I still try to do like my ideal time, like when my followers are most active, just
Yes.
because and I have things that will auto post for me, like not necessarily reels, but like my actual like static images or carousels that will post for
Yeah.
me. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever, that works. But with TikTok, I'm just like, whatever. I think it says my ideal time is like 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, that's when
Mm.
I'm like finishing
I
dinner
don't
and
want to
like
post.
trying
Yeah.
to relax and unwind. Like I'm not about to open up TikTok and go
Mm-mm.
post on there and stuff. So I'm just like, whatever, I'll just post it whenever I
Yep.
remember on TikTok. And yeah, I don't also understand TikTok. So if you have any tips
Oh
for social
God.
media
No.
on TikTok, like
Mm-mm.
is there anything that we should be doing or should not be doing on
The
TikTok?
only the only thing I think everyone should be doing is treating it like Instagram stories. Like
Okay.
that, I swear every TikTok I see go viral is just someone picking up their camera out of the blue and being like, ah, la, la, la,
Blah
like
blah blah.
spitting out
Yeah.
some
This is what happened to me at the grocery store today.
literally. Or like, I just
Yeah.
read this article, I just heard this thing, I just saw this TikTok. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's how people are killing it right now. So that's what I'm kind of trying to do. I had one go bananas the other day. I have a bunch that are trash. TikTok is
Yeah.
so different. And some of my TikToks from
So
literally six
different.
months ago are gaining traction right now. It's like
Really?
YouTube. It's
Hmm.
like people are searching things there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, TikTok's
I
another
know. I don't even
another
use Google
beast.
anymore. Like I just go to
Me
TikTok
either.
and I search
TikTok
things.
and Instagram
Yeah.
too. But I was going to say, I love that I do want to bring up the best time to post because a lot of your people, they are so hyper local. So that is something to
Yeah.
think about. So if
Yeah.
you are a West Coast photographer, you probably want to, and you photograph families. I always joke that
Yeah.
I always typically post around 2:30, 3 o'clock because that's when like I'm waiting in line at pickup.
Yeah.
So I've got
True.
30 minutes. I'm
You've
just
got
sitting there
time.
waiting for my kid. And a lot of the people who follow me are on the East Coast and moms. So I was like, it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. We're all
They'll
kind
be
of like,
sitting in their car.
yep. I'm like, it's that magic time where all the moms are just like, phone break.
Yeah.
But yeah, so especially if you're hyper local, like my realtors and stuff, I'm like, no, you do actually want to think about the time, but not so much what Instagram's saying, but more like people's
Mm.
behaviors who you're targeting in your
Yeah.
area. So something to
That's
think
true.
about.
Yeah, that's true. Thinking about like when your potential clients or current clients would be actually like scrolling their
Yeah.
feed,
I
which
mean,
is
and
usually
one
like
thing
after
too,
work or like lunch break, maybe.
right? And I have people that post at like 7 in the morning and do really well because like there's,
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm not
before
very
work.
active on Instagram first thing in the morning because I can't be. My kids are nuts.
Yeah.
So I'm
That and
more
I don't want to
active.
start my day off like that.
No,
I don't like being like waking up and then being like, okay, let's go post on Instagram. I can't
right.
my brain,
No,
yeah, I don't
my
want to
brain's not there yet. I hadn't even
do that.
posted on stories yet today because I'm like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's summer break. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll get there when I get there. But yeah, that's something to think about for sure. And
Yeah.
again, if
That's
you're
true.
photographing, engaged couples, they're probably working 9 to 5. So maybe you should do a 7, 8 o'clock PM post and see what
Yeah.
happens. Just see what
Yeah.
happens. Just try both. I
Yeah.
remember one time
That's true.
someone was like, it was a catering company I was managing 4 years ago. And I posted something for them that they had sent me. They're like, why'd you post it this time? Like, no, I don't think people are going to be interested in that kind of food at this kind of hour. I'm like, it's food. It's not like they're
Yeah.
just people stress about
Stop
this stuff.
overanalyzing it.
Yep. Because they want there to be a textbook, a Bible
Yeah.
on, and
Mhm.
there's not.
There's not. Yeah. I know. Well, which is it's kind of fun because there's no rules, you know?
Yep.
It's just like whatever you want to do, whatever works for you, but then it gets really intimidating. It's almost like FOMO, like fear of multiple options. Um
Yes. Oh my gosh, I
and they
love
just
that.
are like there's so many things to consider that I'm just going to freeze up and not do anything. And I talk most of the time when I'm doing like mentor sessions or even like I said it on my reels, I've made a whole podcast about it. Just like for me what I've noticed is just consistency. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're like just show up every day. Like
Yeah.
stop overthinking so much about like what your feed looks like, which is a big thing with photographers because
I
we want it to like
know.
look aesthetically pleasing. But like stop thinking about that, stop thinking about what time you're posting, stop thinking about the engagement that you're going to get out of it, and just
Right.
like like create things that you enjoy. And like
Mhm.
as soon as you make that switch, you'll start to notice like, oh, people are counting on me to post this kind of stuff because I've been consistently posting this kind of stuff and I
Yep.
actually enjoy posting this kind of stuff, so I want to continue doing it.
Yep.
Instead of forcing yourself to do stuff that you don't really like want to make the talking reels because you don't like talking to the camera, then don't make the talking
Then
reels.
don't make
If
them.
just make what you want to make, and then people will come to your page to rely on that because they're like, oh, I can go to Kaylee's page because she posts all these funny little lip syncing videos,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm in the mood to watch today, you know?
Yes. I love that. Yeah, if you don't like what you're creating, they will feel it.
Yeah.
And
It's so
no.
true. And then you're not going to want to, and then you're going to fall off the wagon because you're not enjoying it and you don't want to do it anymore. And so then it's kind of like, well, what was the point? What was the
Right.
point of even trying if you don't even want to continue doing it?
Right. It's also like people, I always like to say it's the same as like going on a diet. Like you're not going to stick
Ugh.
to it if it sucks and you can't eat
Yeah.
the food you like. You're not going to,
Yeah.
right? So it's the same
It's
with
so true.
anything in life. If you don't like it, you're not going to do it. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get me to check my email every day. I hate email.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I can't. I just can't. I love writing emails, but checking it, no. So I
Yeah.
have a person on my team who does it because I'm like, you can't force me
Yeah. You can't
to do
make
it.
me to do that.
No. And
You're
you
like, I'd
also
rather just
can't,
someone tell me with the important things that I need to attend
right.
to and then be done with it.
Yeah. And you can't get me to go on a run. Like, I'm not, right? Like, that's not
Yeah.
what gets
No,
me
thank
excited.
you. Yeah.
So, no, you're not going to do it. So, if you aren't going to enjoy talking to the camera on Reels, then don't try to make them. There's
Yeah.
people that only do photos and carousels and kill it, that don't do Reels at all.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so true.
that works too.
Yeah.
Good content. They're gonna watch it. They're gonna look at it. They're gonna share it. They're gonna save it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's an interesting point that you brought up too, is that people will just do like static posts and carousels and still do well.
yeah,
So you don't think that this is what everyone says is like, I don't do reels, so I'm not going to be able to gain followers or like reach my potential clients. And I feel
right.
like that's not true. So you think
No,
like you don't have to do reels if you want to still run a successful social media page, whatever it
yeah.
be.
I mean, Reels are definitely like,
They're going to be the quicker way, I think, for
quicker way.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, with
But
photographers, I mean, that's why we started loving Instagram in the first place, was pretty photos. So you guys have that. Like,
yeah.
I don't have pretty photos, right? So
Yeah.
you guys
Right.
are like already
We've already
have
got a leg up in the game.
exactly. So, but again, it just needs to, and I could, especially with you guys, it's almost like everyone getting married, it's their Pinterest board. They see some pretty
Yeah.
images they want, they're going to save it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just make sure it's like the best of the best photos that you're sharing. And
Yeah.
even if you want to do like the shot versus the picture, like those types, you could do that
Yeah.
without a reel. You could do
A swipe.
yes, like
Yeah.
swipe, and maybe the swipe
Just
is because I know you guys want your feeds pretty. The swipe
yeah.
would be the like behind the scenes
Behind the
version of like
scenes.
how you got
Yeah.
that shot, like you on the ground, like that
Yeah.
stuff's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might not grow as
Yeah. The
fast.
positions we
But
can get ourselves into when we're shooting is
oh yeah,
I've been
and
on top of a car before.
I
Like I'm
love that.
balancing
Like
on
people want
like
to
a
see
check.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you could joke about, I know there's that trend, like, oh, so all you do is take pictures. And it's like,
You want to watch what I do? Yeah.
right. But there's so many ways to do it. And again, if you want a carousel to do well, you got to get them to swipe. So you just want to make sure you're really focusing on that caption, because the caption is
Mm-hmm.
going to drive the static or the carousel. So like, again, maybe it's like 4 images and maybe the fourth one's your favorite. Like say the fourth one, blah, blah, blah. Like get them to the
Yeah.
fourth picture,
To
because that's going
get
to
them
drive
to
up
go to the
engagement.
end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's always good too, because it's like I like to do like the funny ones. I'm one of those photographers. Not everyone does that because they're not like the most aesthetically pleasing photos, but like the real life photos where the
Yeah.
kid's like
Oh,
crying
yeah.
or like you can see like the mom like doing something weird with the kid and their face is like, ah.
Yes.
I love including those images because I'm like, I feel like that's like real life and I would love having those as for myself. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll put those at the end and I'll just be like, swipe to see like the reality of the situation or
Yes.
whatever. Like
And
I have
people
a
love
couple,
that.
they
It's
do, or they're like
curiosity.
changing the kid. There's like 3 people
Right.
trying to put the cowboy boots on this little
Right.
baby boy. And I'm like, this is how,
Not
like, it
having it.
wasn't. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, this is what it really took to get him in these cowboy
Yeah.
boots, y'all. But like,
Well,
it was
even like
worth it. You wouldn't
when you
know.
guys have a pretty tablescape that you're like, because again, the wedding trends are changing. Like I look back on our wedding
Yeah.
photos, I'm like, oh my God, we got married during the mason jar era. And like
Oh,
it's so
love
bad. I'm like,
that.
ours would be a perfect Pinterest board for like the 2012. It was, oh God.
I was
We
gonna
had a
say
great
that,
time.
and there's like like okay, like 2012 was probably like Mason Jar era, like 2017 to 2019 was like sunflower era.
Yes.
So if you saw a
Yes.
wedding with sunflowers, you're like, I know when that was done.
You know exactly. See, that could be funny though, because you guys could like do, even if you have old ones, like guess the year and like don't cheat, but in the caption are the years. Like that,
Yeah,
have some fun. Bring
that's
your
true.
people in. But another thing with
Yeah.
the trends is like, say you photograph some wedding, you're like, holy crap, that's such a genius way to greet your people, or that's such a cool thing they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw one where like
Yeah,
they literally get an
seating
old
chart
fashioned
or
the seating chart, and they get it old fashioned, like someone's handing it in the back. It's like so cool.
oh, I know the little bell. They're
Isn't that
ringing the
cool?
bell, and then
Yes.
like a hand sticks out the. Oh, it's so
I
freaking cool.
Die. So if you didn't
Yeah.
get that on video, you could still get a photo and just say, this is your sign to have a blah, blah, blah. that will
Yeah.
still get shares and saved because it's something they haven't seen before and they're going to
Yeah.
want to do it at their wedding. Even though that might not get you a client, it could. What if and someone randomly in Texas sees it and shares it to Virginia and you're a Virginia, right? Like you just never know.
Yeah.
Like
You never
don't
know.
be afraid to show pictures of things other than the happy couple to help brides and
Yeah.
grooms. I know we're only
Yeah.
talking one right now, or families. Like you could even do one about like a local business spotlight,
Yeah.
like favorite kids boutiques for kids
True.
outfits. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't
Like
always
where
have
to
to
go get
be.
your
Yes.
shopping clothes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Think outside the
So
box. And
true.
if it doesn't work, then don't do it again.
Yeah.
But it's
Exactly.
fun to
But you
test.
got to try it once.
You have to.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's like it's cool because, I feel like a lot of people just make excuses for themselves
Yeah.
or which is one of my biggest pet peeves when people make excuses for themselves and it's like something they can actually control.
Mhm.
And it's just like you can do this. I know you can. You're just overthinking it. You're trying to
Yeah.
talk yourself out of it and think about what would happen if you just tried, like just do it,
Yes.
and then what happens if you find out you really enjoy it and your people really enjoy it, then like, hey, now I've got a reason to continue doing it, but you would never have known
Exactly.
unless you just did it once.
And I think the best thing that a photographer could do is hire someone who's interested in maybe being a content creator and
Yeah.
pay them a couple $100 or something, just have them be there for like an hour or two and shoot behind the scenes
Yeah.
content of you. And, just, but then, if like, looking through the video that they took, if you're like, oh, that's actually really cool, let me share that. And it does well,
Yeah.
then
The
do it
things
all
that
the
they
time.
notice. Yeah.
Right. Cause
The
they're noticing things
wedding
that,
content
yeah.
creators are coming a thing now.
Oh,
So,
huge.
which is so cool. So there's
And they
like an
charge a lot of
iPhone
money.
person like
Yeah.
videoing and like taking photos and stuff all day with us, which is like cool because then we get access to that stuff too that we can use for
For
reels,
your
and
reels.
then the couple gets that stuff too. Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, as someone who has hired so many photographers in my life, like I want to see what it's like to work with you. And if I see
Yeah.
reels of you posing the
In the moment,
person
like,
or
yeah.
done, I want to know. Again, Ryan and I have had
Yeah.
photographers who we just adore because they, and you can tell that
Yeah.
in a 3-second video if you're going to like
Yeah.
working with a photographer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I would do. Because
True.
then, yeah, no photographer is going to go on a shoot and think to take video. Every
I
time I have a
forget all the
speaking
time.
engagement, I go by myself. I'm like, I'll get B-roll. I don't get anything.
Yeah.
And then any photos I'm tagged in, I look crazy because I'm talking and like, ugh. So I'm like, I was like,
Yep.
so I need to start bringing someone with me to shoot some
Yeah.
B-roll. So don't be just
Yeah.
do it one time, throw some reels up, see what happens. And you might actually, like you said, find out like that's actually really cool. Like I had a lot of fun with
Yeah.
that.
It's so true. Yeah.
And the bride and groom
Which
get a
is what we
perk of
need.
having vertical videos for their
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. Well, and that's what like I tell my second shooters to focus on too. Besides obviously like photographing what I need them to photograph. I'm like, if you're not taking pictures on your camera, like if you can't get a different angle than me,
Yep.
then just be over my shoulder in video or
Yep.
like off to the side in video, like
Yep.
with your phone because I'll love it, they'll love it,
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
in the zone. Let them. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's really cool. Okay, well, thank you for chatting with us. You've
You're
given us
welcome.
lots of, I feel like, just refreshing advice, making it. I feel a lot more comfortable watching your page because I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not doing it wrong. I'm doing it what I
No.
want to do, and this is what works for me. Tell everybody where they can find you, and are you working on anything fun, or do you have anything going on that you want to share about?
Yeah, actually, by the time this airs, I'll probably have it out. I'm working on a new free download with so I have a membership called the Reels Lab, and in there, I give you industry specific prompts and plans every week for Reels
Cool.
based on trending audios and what's working right now.
What's
It's so fun. Like everyone in there loves it, and it just makes me really happy. But
yeah,
to make sure people know it's, for them, I have something it's going to be some of like every quarter. I'll grab some of the best prompts that did well for my people and put it in a Google Doc, and then you'll just get it every quarter. So, if you can't
cool.
want to be in there, if you just want to see what it's like. So I'll have that soon. So that should hopefully be out by the time this comes out. So it'll be, viral Reels hooks for actual text on screen, because that's always the hardest part,
Yes.
right? But yeah, that's really it. And then I'm on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. It is summer break right now, so it's a little crazy, but I will get back to you, I
Yeah.
promise. But yeah, my Instagram's just Shannon McKinstrie. I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere, but I'm on Instagram a lot.
Yes, which I love watching. It's very cool. It's very fun. I feel like I'm like hanging out with you all day.
Yay, that makes me happy. That's the goal. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah, social media is supposed to be social. We're supposed to be out there like engaging with people and
Yep.
like being friends with them. That's
Yep.
why it was created in the first place.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that's a good takeaway, a good way to end it. I love that. Just be social on social media, people. It's not that hard.
No, worst comes to worst. I'm like, if you can't do anything, at least go engage with some people and
Yeah.
you did
Call
something.
it a day. Yep. Oh my gosh. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us,
Thank
Shannon.
you so much for having me. This was so fun.